As you've just been informed, I wasn't expecting to speak today. I was expecting to be over where you're sat in the audience. So please forgive my hastily scribbled notes to cobble something together. I'll touch on a bit of the Irish nature of the debate, but as I've not got any particular connection to the Irish side of the problem, it's mainly going to be around business as a small business owner, and also my connections, obviously, to politics as well. As Alison alluded to, I'm one of the rare Merseyside Tories, so I'm sure I might not be speaking to a room full of my brethren, but I like to think I come from more along the Michael Heseltine route of the Conservative Party, so I think he's hopefully got a bit more sway, both in what he did for Liverpool and also how he's dealing with Brexit currently in the House of Lords. So as I've been introduced, I'm a small business owner, so I'm one of the people who's supposedly going to be heavily affected by Brexit, but I am actually one of the many tech sector businesses. And as news came out the other day, 2 days ago, the tech sector in the UK is actually growing 2.6 times faster than the rest of the economy. So despite Brexit and those famous words, my sector's doing quite well. However, the underlying message of that is often lost. Today, this very morning, I was interviewing. We've just expanded actually over the water. We were founded in Wirral. I'm Wirral born and bred, as is Alison. And I wanted to give back to the community. I wanted to keep my business in the Wirral. I wanted to provide jobs for the local area. I didn't want to just hightail it down to London and join the rest of the digital sector in the various regions that have grown up around there. So I wanted to start in Wirral, and also I didn't fancy coming through the tunnel every day. So I started my business in Hoylake. We've been growing quite considerably over the last sort of couple of years, 2-3 years, and we've recently just expanded this very last month into the Baltic Triangle. So we have become one of these sort of tech sectors. We're in the Keynes Brewery. It's a lovely new building. We got in when there were still builders in there. That's how excited we were to so we're actually working in a building site at the moment. But as I said, going back to this very morning, we're interviewing for new staff members. So when I took my search for some new members of staff, as most of us tech people do, we went online and we started searching for people on LinkedIn to harass and try and get them to come over to our company. And when I did that search, 6 out of the 10 proportion of people who I would employ for my job were from European Union countries. So the fact that our sector is growing at 2.6 times faster than the rest of the economy, that's on the back of the fact that we can have access to this workforce that comes from across the European Union. The person I interviewed today is actually from Cyprus. So given this in 2 years' time, my pool of talent potentially is going to be dramatically reduced to just 40% of what it is today. And if my business is currently growing and the rest of my sector is growing at 2.6 times the rest of the economy, what effect is that going to have on the economy when my business stalls because I can't get any more staff? This is the reality of the problem that is being glossed over by we've not actually left yet. As people often say, we haven't left. Some of these effects, they've not materialised as yet. So we do need to consider that, yes, the economy is doing well now. Yes, it seems to be okay for the short term, but long-term effects, it's going to bite business hard. The other side of my business is I don't run my business I'm not one of these dictatorial bosses. We have quite an open team structure. I get involved with the staff. We work together, and I see that's very much reflected across Europe. We are a team. It's about how different countries have come together to work together for a common goal for peace and prosperity across Europe that we didn't have, in my grandfather's time. So since a couple of generations, we've gone to what is an excellent family of nations, is probably the best way to put it. We have our differences, as brothers and sisters would do, but ultimately, when we work together, when we stand up to the rest of the world and we show guiding principles of European values, which coincide very, very nicely with British values, as I understand them. I know people are trying to distort what British values may be nowadays and what the idea of British identity is, but I think British values coincide perfectly with European values, and it's something that we should stand up for. Moving on, as I said, I'm not totally prepared as others may have been, so it may jump around a bit, but as this area, we voted Remain. We voted Remain by quite a considerable margin. On the Wirral, it was two of the constituencies voted Remain to 2 Leave, but overall it was a Remain vote. And I think, as Alison alluded to as well, that it's our shared history. I mean, I myself come from going back a few more generations, from French, Irish, Welsh and English. Together, we are European. And I think Merseyside, more than some other places, we are European citizens. We have got that mix behind us. We are an open and tolerant area. We did come from this history, this shared history. And I think we are keen to continue that into the future. Also, my life, I've grown up inside the European Union. I didn't know it before. And I've obviously benefited through my business, through my personal life. You know, we've been free to travel across Europe. I've been to both East and West Germany at the same time with no visas, simply hopping on a train and explored the whole of Europe that is on offer to us. I got married in Greece by a Greek mayor with a marriage certificate that's applicable across the whole of Europe. You know, these sorts of things. I want this for my children. I want this for my children's children. I want this shared identity to continue. It's not just about business, as has been alluded to a lot in the questions. It is about the people. And I think this is where perhaps the Remain campaign fell down. We were so focused on economic numbers that everyone would use their common sense to say this is going to affect businesses and affect jobs. And we forgot about the shared identity, the shared values that we have across Europe. And I think this is the key to how we need to change people's minds. We can't go at people with the economic values. It's all very important, and as people have put forward today, that is an important side of it. But a lot of people who voted Leave did not vote Leave on economic values. They did not vote Leave on a sense of what it's going to do to business. They can't have done because we know what it's going to do. Even if you put aside Project Fear and the various accusations that have been since, the long term, it's not going to be favourable. So I think if we can bring people back to the shared values, to the views that are, you know, British values, that are European values, and together, hopefully, we will be able to change people's minds. Just to finish up, just a couple of things. Going back to what Alison said before, the last time we were on a panel together was the hustings for the general election when we were all South candidates. And as a Conservative and a Democrat, I was prepared to give, although a Remain voter and a Remain campaigner, I was prepared to give people the benefit of the doubt to say, let's have a go and see what Brexit can come up. But one of the key points I did say is, if any of the jobs in my constituency, if it would have been my constituency, were to be affected, and the example I gave was Vauxhalls at the time in the answer to the question, if any people were going to lose jobs because of Brexit in my constituency, I would do everything I could to stop that from happening. And last year, what happened? But jobs were reduced in Vauxhalls and Ellesmere Port. So that's why one of the reasons why I'm getting more vocal, more involved now, is I think, you know, we're seeing the impact. We need to stop it, and we need to, you know, we all need to work together to actually try and change minds. And the second point was, just to take a bit of credit, is that Alison will back me up on the words I said to her after I lost the election on election night was, whatever you do, Alison, please keep us in the single market. And I'm glad to see she's taken up my idea and started Labour for the single market. Thank you.